Step into the world of the Superpro podcast, where we lay out the blueprints of home service excellence. Join us as we break down the wins and struggles of pros who are at the top of their game. Put their wisdom into practice as you build your company's success.
All right, welcome to another episode of the Superpro podcast, the heartbeat of home service excellence. I am Roland, your host, your co-founder of Housecall Pro, and I'm an advocate for all the hardworking pros out there helping make our homes better, safer, and more comfortable, and also the appliances. Through Housecall Pro, I've had the privilege of supporting hundreds of thousands of pros, just like you, helping you guys achieve more, stress less, and redefine success in our industry. Today, I'm super excited. We've got EJ here. We're going to welcome him to the show from EJ's Appliance Repair. He's based in Lexington, Kentucky, services 17 counties now. His goal is hitting 500K for this year, $1 million for next year. He's got 4 employees. He's got 3 trucks on the road. He's grown his business super fast. And I'm just excited to have him share some of his tips, his tricks, some learnings, and talk a little bit about his alliance that he's in as well. Welcome to the show, EJ.
Yeah, thank you. Man, I'm excited too. And that was a heck of an intro. I am a Housecall Pro fanboy. So be warned, everybody.
No, this is exciting. I mean, so you've been in business for 5 years now. What was like the starting story of EJ's Appliance Repair? What the heck were you doing before you started your business? And what was that like turning moment when you're like, all right, I'm doing this for myself?
Yeah, that's a fun story. I've told it a lot, but I was actually in maintenance, industrial maintenance. I had been doing that for probably 15 to 20 years after I got out of the Navy as an electrician. And I got a job at a high-profile government contract, and I had to do some background stuff. And one of it was a credit report, and I needed to get out of some debt before I could get approved in that. So I started the Dave Ramsey program, and I was trying to get out of debt, and the side hustle became appliances. It started with selling my own personal set after my wife encouraged us to upgrade for a cost. And then I fixed them and sold them. And I made the same amount back. And I said, oh, this was fun. So I started finding washer and dryer sets on Facebook and fixing them and flipping them. And got out of a lot of debt. And I was able to, keep rolling with it. And then there was a guy that does appliance repair at a furniture store here locally. He was kind of encouraging me and mentoring me along the way, and he said, you should start a business. I was like, I never even thought about a business. This is kind of fun. So I just went ahead and jumped. It was 2019, and I started with a used appliance store. And around the time COVID came, which was right after I started, everything changed. It went from you couldn't get appliances, so people needed them repaired. And I just kind of had this business mindset from my management background and maintenance that I just followed the need. So I quickly saw the need that people needed high quality service that they can count on. And I stood up and took that challenge. And it was probably a year later I went full time. So I was about a year and a half in, went full time, jumped. I said, I got to go. This is it.
It was just you. And then how long after that before you kind of were like, all right, I need to hire more people because now I've got way more reviews than I could, deal with because your reviews skyrocketed. So like, tell us about that moment.
Oh, well, it went a little bit before that. I couldn't handle all the phone calls myself. So I convinced my wife to answer the phones. And after a while, I got involved in the Appliance Alliance group on Facebook. And I met our mutual friend, Zach Kreider, and he encouraged me to take a look at Housecall Pro. And I was nervous as could be because I was doing everything on Google Calendar. And I thought, there's no way I can move. I got too many contacts in Google Calendar right now. There's no way I can do it. And finally I jumped. My wife learned Housecall. I was able to do much more. And then it was probably a year later. I had so much work going on I couldn't keep up. I had half the people that was booking was canceling because I was a week scheduled out. And finally I convinced one of my close friends, Terry, to help me out. He had been doing little side jobs for me every now and again. And I said, look, man, I need somebody I can trust. And he came on. I knew it was the best fit because people in our area really need to be treated right. Not only do they deserve to, and they ought to be, but in the country, you got to have that hospitality. You have to be honest, and people will read through anything else. So I hired him because he was honest and hardworking, and I knew I could trust him. So that's about how far in. I was about 8 months into Housecall Pro when I hired him, and it just like a switch. I was able to get to everybody as fast as I could. At that time, we started working our way into the Lexington market because I actually started about 30 miles east of Lexington.
You're saying I thought 3 counties, and now you're at 17 counties.
Oh, yeah. I was 2 counties away from Lexington, where I live, and I did what I called the little bighorn. I became established in those 3 small counties, and then I think we had like 200-300 5-star reviews. And then when I went into Lexington, I was established. I wasn't competing as a David up against the Goliaths. I was up there and relevant. We had the reviews, the backing, and I had a team. You know, even though it was just me, him, and my wife, that's what made the difference. And
is your wife still 100% in the business today, or how does that look like now?
No. That lasted about another 6 months. And so we have another mutual friend that we're using for that right now, My Office Help. So Zach had also introduced me to Shayna at My Office Help, and we started with them. We're loving it. We're about 3 years in now with them, and it's just a great experience. I know we got the Housecall Pro Assist now, but if that would have been available at that time, I think I might have been all over it. But I got to give love to My Office Help in that sense.
Yeah, they do a great job, and they service a lot of our pros as well. And, I always say, like, anytime any of our pros can get someone else answering their phone 24/7, while they're either working under a crawl space or just trying to enjoy the weekend, that always helps. That's always going to beat, just letting your phone go to voicemail, because, when you call that homeowner back, they were like, sorry, I already found someone. Right. And that's like the worst thing you can hear, because that's just like each time it's like bleeding money. It's like,
you know what we like to say is, most of the time when we get the phone calls, we're like behind a fridge or behind a dryer or something. We're not us pros. It's the E-Myth. If you haven't read that book, E-Myth Revisited, the idea is just because we're good techs, we think we're going to be good business owners. And that ain't the case for most of us. Most of us are techs at heart, and I'm not a CSR. I have no business answering my phones. I have no business. And my wife was much nicer, and she was better at it. But you know what? She's not a CSR either. And if you are still answering your phones, you definitely need to get that figured out. I don't even know which would be first. I would say house call first and then the CSR. But you definitely need to have a management system, because if you're doing it on paper or Google Calendar, you're missing so much.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you skyrocketed to 1,000 reviews, and then I don't know what happened with Google, but you like to get that many reviews in 4 years with you, yourself, and another person. That's a lot. I mean, you're killing everybody in the rankings at that point.
House call had something to do with that. Of course, it was the people we hired. I'm a servant leader at heart. Terry was too, and then I hired our pastor, Mike. and he was quickly known as 5-Star Mike. He just made everybody feel great. I still have people 3 years later talking about Mike. So what happened is, one, you have to set up the first impression by being a professional company. You have to have the reputation of doing right. You have to look the part. And then what I like to say is the consistency throughout. Housecall really helped with the consistency. When we answer the phones, or my office help now answers the phone, and we're pleasant, and we book the appointment, the notifications that they get that I didn't have when I had Google Calendar, they get a text message saying, hey, you're booked. Here's the date, right? EJ's on his way. Hey, he started work. And the game changer for me, I know that Housecall Pro has the link for Google, that as soon as you click finish, you're getting a text or email or both. I cracked a little bit of code here too, because I had 2 Google listings, and you can't link more than one on Housecall.
That's right.
So I used the cheat code of the finish text. I linked one to Housecall, and then I put the other link in my finish text. And then people say, why would you do that? Everybody gets the finish text. I know. I ain't worried about it.
Ask multiple times.
You know what I mean? I get 1,000 reviews in 4 years. How many do you have? I don't mind if I get a 1-star review, because it's so infrequent that it doesn't even matter. And you know what? It is a real gauge. I need to know when problems are happening. And to me, it's not about what you do when everything goes right, but how do you make it right when it goes wrong? That's where your real character comes out.
I feel like that's like a golden nugget that's just subtly mentioned by you, that just like, you know, it's like, it was mind blowing, because it's easy when things go right, but you know, those 1-star reviews, I know a lot of pros are just so afraid of them, you know, for them to come in. But the reality is like the way that you handle them, not just the job and the person itself, but then the way that you respond and show online. Because I know my wife, when she's looking online, she's not looking at the good reviews. She's looking at the bad reviews, and she's trying to figure out, are these, you know, BS bad reviews, or are these like legit bad reviews, but they were handled correctly? So in the case that something does go wrong, I know that it'll be handled correctly. And that's really what they're looking at. So I feel like, oh man, don't shy away from those 1-stars, because it is that gate, right? It's what you do when things go wrong.
And absolutely reply to them.
Yep.
Reply to them. Don't hide from them. Don't run.
Yep.
Even if you get 1,000 in 4 years, that's a lot of replies. But do it. So we had Google kind of acted up last year. A lot of people lost their listings, and I lost 3 listings with over 1,000 reviews, and I wanted to cry. But it took us 3 months, and we got our next one approved. And I was just looking today; we're over 200 just this year. So
you're
coming back.
Yeah,
coming back.
Your careers. Yeah. I mean, that's the other thing too, to just keep in the back of your mind is, you know, you can't be beholden to anyone's system for 100% of your jobs. And obviously do right by your customers, try to get those reviews, try to get them on Google, because that's most likely where people are searching for stuff. But the reality is those customers that you do good service for, they're going to refer you to other people, and that word of mouth, like you can't beat that, you know? And so that's where I feel like, you can't put all your eggs in one basket, but to the extent you can, start asking for those reviews, you know, as soon as you can, as soon as you start up shop, because those things compound over time. That's why it hurts so much to, you know, lose them whenever Google does whatever kind of sweeps and weird algorithm changes and those things. But, well, now that you've been at it for a little bit, what's something you would tell like baby EJ? You know, this is, you know, five years ago, you know, greenhorn EJ coming in thinking he can run an appliance company. What's like a piece of advice you would have told your younger self?
So I did for about a year and a half. I didn't really have a network. And having a community network of like-minded people, preferably in your industry. Don't be afraid to network with people in your area even. But find people in your industry to share ideas with. We're part of the Service Alliance Group .com. It's it's a association of sorts, right? We have membership where we put people together and we do masterminds, and we have SOPs, templates, 120 plus, and all the manuals you'll need ever. Very affordable, and I'll tell you, we built it because of what we got out of working together. Mm-hmm. There was 4 of us at the time. It was me, Zach Kreider, Justin Gandy, and TK Cousins. And now Mike Carson is, he's our integrator. He's put our website together and everything. But reach out. Don't be shy. Find somebody. Ask questions. Don't be afraid. And the other part of that is, don't be afraid to make big steps. I had been one of those that were, what do you call it? Overanalyze things.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Just
I was that guy.
Thinking before you did it, and then you might as well just done it.
And I'm sitting here at my desk, and I wasn't even planning on this, but we read this book in a book club, Business Ground Rules. And there was a page in here that said, it mentioned the term progress over perfection. Mm-hmm. If you are overanalyzing everything and thinking and never doing anything, like I did with the decision to go to Housecall Pro, I was terrified. And when I finally did it, it was so much easier than what I thought. Like, it took less than a day to figure everything out, and an hour or 2 of setup. And everything was great. And the feedback that I got on the back end was just amazing. And I'll tell you, the 2 things that could have saved me was the 1.5 years that I took without help, and the 2 years I did it without a legitimate program to run my systems. I couldn't imagine doing it again. We were speaking of the 4 guys in my group. Justin Gandy actually signed up with Housecall Pro a year or 2 ago at my recommendation. He's out of Kansas City, Kansas. He had 9 techs, and he was still doing it with paper invoices and Google Calendar, just like me. And I said, dude, I don't care how hard it is. I don't care that you've been doing this for 5 years. You have to do it. And when he finally did it, I helped him get it set up. I like doing that. I like helping people through their setup and get them to where it's successful, because it is intimidating. He swears by it. He said, I should have done this 4 years ago. And he had 9 techs. So if you're out there watching, that ain't an excuse. It's time to level up.
Yeah, I think it is hard to go from something that's working to try something else, and I feel like you gotta be able to embrace that change and have that growth mindset, because everyone tell you, well, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But it's like, yeah, but then you're just going to be status quo, and then you're just going to kind of keep where you're at. And there's growth in being uncomfortable and put yourself in those spots, and you literally forced him into that spot. And now, you get to say, I told you so, for the rest of his business career. So that's a fun position to be in for sure.
Absolutely. I heard a saying. I heard it from Tommy Mello, but I think he heard it from Al Levy. It said, what got you here won't get you there. Wherever you want to go, what you've been doing all this time, it ain't going to get you there. All that did was get you where you are right now. So, you have to do something different.
That's right. Speaking of things, so, a little bit about Housecall Pro. You use a lot of the different features inside of it. You've just progressed and using like service plans, going to expense cards. What's like a feature that you feel maybe is underrated or some people might be overlooking, but you're like, oh man, now that I'm using it, it's just like, it's a no-brainer.
Well, I don't talk about this much publicly, but I'm going to do it now for you guys because you gave it to me. You gave me the gift of service plans. And I'm going to give you a take on service plans that is underutilized. So the service plan function, first I want to give you some numbers so I don't forget. I started the service plans in this form that I'm about to share at the end of January this year. I currently have $40,000 on the books collected and recurring for next year and moving forward. So $40,000 that I was sleeping on. So what we do is everybody knows of a service plan being like a maintenance plan, where you sell a service and you have to go to complete the service. Every year or 2 times a year, however many times.
Whatever the tune-ups are, yeah.
So there is a function in the system for 0 visits.
Yep, there is.
I call mine the Gold Star discount plan. It's very much like Sam's Club, but for appliance repair is how I explain it. So you pay an annual fee. I give you free service calls for all of your appliances all year. You don't pay anything when we come out to check it out unless we fix it. And then I give them 10% off on top of that. And and I'll tell you what everybody says to me in the industry. EJ, you're going to lose money. You're losing. I said, no, I'm not. I might lose a little bit up front, but this is an investment. I got 40,000 coming to me next year. I'm okay. Right? What I am gaining, and the way I explain it to people that actually care that I'm the owner, this year I had to look at my numbers just like we should every year. I had to raise my prices because of the cost of doing business went up. We all should have. That's another one. Don't be afraid to charge what you need to charge. The business will come. You'll lose some, but the added business will make up for it. So I wanted to make some way that I could add value to my loyal customers that weren't afraid to pay the higher service charge. So we give them this option to get more for their money. The service charge is a non-factor at this point, right?
Because it's
They're
free
coming.
now.
I'm coming for free.
Yep.
But you're committing. I want to be your forever appliance repair company. I come in. We provide service. Whatever we do, you get a magnet on the fridge. You sign up for the plan. You don't even think about calling anybody else. Why? Because I basically owe you $120 every time you hear a noise in your dryer. Now, what happens then? What if it's nuisance noise, right? Well, they found a noise. Sell them the repair. Offer it to them. It doesn't mean you're not wrong by offering a repair that somebody don't need. People buy stuff they want more than they do what they need.
That's another golden nugget right there too. Because I think a lot of people are like, you know what? Do they? And folks might not have caught this if they're not in the appliance repair business and are listening in too to this. But something that's like a nuisance, it's like a squeak. It's like a thing. It's an annoyance. Like, is it going to break anything? Does it stop the functioning? No, everything else works perfectly fine. But it's that one little squeak. But guess what? That squeak wakes up the baby. I'm going to go get it repaired. And I hope to God that you're offering me as a service to go fix that because it needs to be fixed. But it's a nuisance. But who are you to determine what a nuisance is? Right? Yeah. So you got to give them the opportunity to then come back and say, you know what? All right. Yeah, I want that done.
People spend too much time, Roland, spending other people's money like it's theirs. And it took me a minute to figure that out. Like, I'm tight with my money. So I want to fix it because I don't want to buy a new one. Right? And when I came in, I assumed that everybody was like me. Or if it was more than half the price of a replacement, I'll just buy a new one. Well, you know what? Not everybody's like that. I've learned to sell in a way that's not slimy. And that's part of this. This is part of that. Some people want that peace of mind and they'll pay for it. There was a guy, Jared, something on YouTube. He's a plumber and does this stuff. And he said, people will line up around the block to buy the new iPhone for $1,500. Do they need it? No. You can buy a flip phone for $50. But they line up because they want it. So I now target middle class to high end clients that want that peace of mind. They want that experience. They want to be treated a certain way. They want us to look a certain way when we get there. We're not chucks and trucks, collecting a couple bucks. I just made that up. That was fun.
I know, that was a big rhyme. I was like, I hadn't heard that one before, but I'm going to steal that. I was like putting it in my little mind right there.
Yeah, chucks and trucks, collecting a couple bucks. No, I'm providing a service. And I'll tell you, I know we got a little bit away from Housecall, but the level of professionalism that Housecall has given me to present to my customer base, I can't replace that. And I'll say this because everybody knows it. There's no perfect software out there. Mm-hmm. There's some that have a lot. There's some that ain't got very much at all. And Housecall, you're among the top, right? And there's room to grow. Mm-hmm. But what I see behind the scenes, being in the Superpros and checking the roadmaps and everything, and interactions I've had with people, the ambassadors, everything, they listen to the requests and they do something about it. I've seen so much more progress in the last year than I ever thought I would. And I'm telling you, you'd be dumb to think about jumping ship now. And you'd be dumb to think about trying something else when you can jump in now and just ride the wave as everything gets better. I'm telling you, the service plans change things. The expense cards help me run my business. I use it now for our fuel and parts and tools along the day. So I don't have to pay a credit card for my gas cards for my team. They use the card payments that we process each day, replenishes it, and then the rest goes into my account. I'm happy. That's a whole weight that I don't even got to think about. They used to try to turn in receipts, and I'd try to give them cash to pay it. That ain't a professional business. They have their cards. They can go do this. You're a fully capable technician. You don't have to bother me as an owner. Just do it. The things that you guys done. Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people, they might have taken a look at Housecall Pro years ago, and either gone with some other direction or stuck with what they were doing. And I would say definitely in the last handful of years here, we've grown our team from, a couple hundred pre-COVID to well over 1,000. And a lot of that was in product and engineering. And so sometimes you'll see in the Facebook groups, they'll be like, you're doing this AI thing, but you should focus your energy on this. And it's like, hold on, there's 55 squads working on all kinds of different things. There's not just one thing that we work on. There's
I didn't know it. I thought maybe you had a couple dozen or 3 dozen or something.
Yeah. And so it's fun because, like you're saying, sometimes, you just got to make a pick on a horse based upon the fact you mentioned it. They're willing to listen to feedback, and I think if people are willing to listen to feedback and you see them making changes, go with it, right? They're listening and they're going to get there. They're going to get there. Might not have everything you want, right out of the gate, but I think just some of the simple features that you mentioned right now, having 40K in recurring revenue, just coming and having not just 40K, but 40K worth of clients that are on lockdown that are only ever going to call EJ, for their appliance repair. That's worth way more than that. And even if you take that thing aside, just the time savings of just trying to collect receipts that are all crumpled and they forgot about it and in the truck and you can't read it anymore. And you're like, oh man, the ink came off. What do I even expense you? And, just that hassle, take that off your plate, put it towards something more productive, like servicing your client. Or, I don't know. I love a hack. I forgot where I heard this, and I'm sure it's not new, but you could offer clients hey, I'm on my way. Do you want me to bring you a cup of coffee? Do you know how many clients actually take you up on that? Very little. But do you know how much goodwill you get by offering something like that? And maybe one out of every, 50 will be like, yeah, sure. And then go get a cup of coffee. Who cares? You get some coffee in the client and you wow the crap out of them, and that's a client for life. But it's small for like spend your time on stuff like that, which wins you those reviews, wins you those customers, but not the back office stuff, right? Not the back office stuff. That's stuff that's you're not going to get returns on that. Not in the same amount as some of this other stuff.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you this too. I've got a lot of friends in the industries, and I have toured a lot of the competitors' softwares. Right? I ain't even going to give them the justice of giving their names, but if you've heard of Housecall, you've heard of these other ones, and I'll tell you, out of all of them, Housecall seems to be the best of all worlds. There's some that have a lot more data, maybe a stronger inventory system. Maybe their reporting is super high. But what I love about Housecall is you have all of it. I know you guys are building the inventory. There's pieces of it I've seen getting put into place over the last several months. And I know you're in talks with somebody right now. I might be in one of the alphas for that. But I don't want to give up too much here. But the visual appeal that Housecall has for my customers to see. When I turn my iPad around and I'm showing them the invoice, it looks clean. It looks appealing. It's easy to customize. Customers can see things at a quick glance, and it's easy. So when I have to email an invoice, it shows up really clean in their emails. The little things that people miss on the details. Looking a certain way, people sleep on that. Just like wearing their uniforms, or having a paper invoice. What you show is what you become to them. That's their impression. So behind the scenes, the dashboard is so user friendly, visually appealing. So my customers don't see that, but when I log in, I can look at this screen in front of me and I see, here's everything at a snapshot. I can run reports very easily. I don't know what else I need from any other software company that Housecall is not doing or working on right now.
Yeah. Well, I think that's one of the reasons why we've got the Superpro Group is because getting the feedback from our pros is so valuable. And Superpros usually get first crack at all the fun alphas and betas, because to be honest, all alphas and betas are never perfect. And so we have to go into it knowing you got to give it a little bit of grace, right? Because that's part of being an alpha beta. You get access to the newest stuff, but it's not always baked. Right. It's like you're eating a cookie dough versus the perfect cookie that's been, grandma's recipe for 100 years. But you know what? The cookie dough is damn good, and you like and you get value from that. Right. And so that's where, when you become a super pro, you get access to some of those things. What is there anything else you've learned in the Superpro Group that you feel like for other pros that are like, wow, I don't know, should I become a super pro? Like, why would I do that? Well,
I'll tell you, that's enough. But the swag was pretty cool too. We got some pretty cool swag boxes. You didn't cheap out on them. I like that, and the badging that I get to put on my website and the stickers, showing that I'm a super pro. Customers don't know what that means. But any kind of accreditation you get, any kind of, praise, something that you can show, just gives you more credibility. So as far as being a super pro, it's aside from that, I don't know. That should be enough. But I have thought about some of the other features that people sleep on.
Yeah. What other features came to mind?
So pipeline.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. Yep.
Pipeline's really cool. There's a couple things that I think it needs, and we've talked to somebody, but being able to categorize all of the jobs that you have with a little drag and drop of a mouse and put them in categories to me, I think it's a great way to see when you order parts and you have to go back, you can put them in a list. Like when I first started with Housecall, we had the little pink number in the top of the dashboard and it said, unscheduled jobs or something.
Unscheduled jobs, and there's like 1,000 in there. And
Yeah.
you're like, what do I do?
And I was like, man, I wish I didn't have to go through here and scroll through it. And then, bam, there it is. You guys did it. And I didn't even ask for it. I was afraid to ask for stuff. I didn't think anybody would answer, but that's where the Superpro comes in too. You ask, they listen, they do it. It's not right away, but there's processes to it. You got to be patient. And by the time it's released, it's pretty well good. Like I said, progress over perfection. You have to be willing to grow and deal with some stuff. But you guys have done it. You guys have done all this. So the emailed invoices that are recurring, when somebody owes you money, it sends an invoice on a regular basis.
Pay me. Yep.
Yeah. Pay me. So there's that. Gosh. See, I just started thinking, WiseTac, financing. Any job that's over $500, you have a financing option. And let me tell you about the financing is like, that sounds scary to somebody like me. Like, wait a minute, I can't wait for them to pay me. WiseTac, they pay you tomorrow. It processes today. It's in your account tomorrow or the next day. And what do you give up for it? Like 3%, 4%? Who cares? You sold the job. You sold the job. Take your money. It's cool. Everything's good. Customers, I've made thousands off of that in appliance repair even. Like our tickets ain't big. But that happens. Online or automatic tipping feature, asking them to tip. I got $100, $200 tips before just because it's on there and it recommends 10, 15%, right? You have the loan options with Stripe and the financing, and it pays it automatically out of your card payments. Like there's so many different little things that Housecall does that I've not seen some of these others do at least at that level. And I've looked at them. I don't know what else to say. I think I'm just making a 30-minute commercial for you.
I know. No, this is great. I feel like, the different teams that are working on those different functions are going to really enjoy just like hearing some of those sound bites because, our core mission as a company is to champion all of our pros to success. And it's not just even necessarily through software, right? We have Housecall Pro Assist, where we can answer your phones. We have Conquer, which we can coach you. There's like all these other things. We lend money, right? Which is like, it's not really scheduling software, right? But because there's all these things that are integrated really well together, we're in a really good position to be like, we know a lot about your business, EJ, and here's some things, right, that maybe can help you grow. Or you might be blocked here. Let's like help unblock you. Because that's our mission, it makes it really easy to like incorporate these other types of tools that maybe you wouldn't even traditionally even think about. Like you're saying, like, I don't even know like any other tools I have them. Is because it might not make sense right out of the outset, right? If you're looking for a scheduling tool to do business loans and lending, right? Like you think you'd go for a bank for that. But you can find that in Housecall Pro.
They gave me credit when other places wouldn't even look at me because I've only been in business 3 years.
That's right.
Yeah. Sometimes I like to go to the App Store and just look at all the new stuff. Like, hey, shoot, I could use that. I just pulled it up. Right now, you guys have been talking about the postcards.
Yeah.
The marketing there. That's on my list.
Yeah.
That's on my list. To send out text and emails and even actual postcards to people. Gosh.
Yep.
Checklist for making sure you get the job done right. I use that.
Yeah.
Oh man, the online booking tool.
Yeah.
And you just improved it too.
Yeah, that's a V2 now. It's a pretty. I mean, we've been progressively improving it, but we've just like really pushed it hard recently because It's just performing. The conversion rates are way better than the first version that we built back in, who knows when, 2017 or something, 2018. And so the world changes, right? And software changes, and everyone's like, well, Roland, can't you just charge for the software once? It's like, what are we going to do? Just build it once and then forget about it? No, like we're constantly going to be building it. There's an infinite amount of stuff. And no matter how many times my mom goes like, are you done yet? It's like, Mom, that's not how engineering works, right? You got to like keep building and building and building. It's like
never done.
That's the beauty of subscription software. And a lot of people are like, I don't like to pay rent. I don't like to pay rent. I want to be the landlord. And it's like, I promise you, with software, you don't want to be the landlord paying a bunch of software engineers salaries.
I believe it.
Yeah,
well,
definitely.
The cool thing about the online booking, the coolest upgrade, other than much more visibly appealing and user friendly, I was allowed to put in my zip codes.
Yeah. So it blocks people if they're out of service area.
I used to get online bookings before from different states. I don't know how they find me, but they did. And then we got to waste time calling them and telling them, hey, I'm sorry, you're not actually in our service area. It just happens. This happens now. Like the things that you don't have to do. Roland, if anybody's worried about the price, they either need to get over it or they're on the wrong business. These softwares don't cost money. Mm-hmm. They make or save you money. I just told you in 6 months I've made $40,000 just in the service plan function. Yeah. For discount plans that I don't have to go back for. Mm-hmm. I don't know what else you're missing.
Yeah, are you doing the annual auto billing on it, or how are you doing that?
Yep. Yeah. I put no end date. Continues until canceled. I mean, you don't have to give them a 5-year deal. Lock them in. Lock them in. Yeah. I'll tell you one thing I'm getting ready to do. My son's 17. He worked with me for 3 years, and he decided he didn't want to be in appliance repair. He wants to do his own thing, and I love it. He's doing lawn care right now.
Cool.
And I told him by the end of the summer, we're going to get the legit business license, and you're going to sign up on Housecall Pro, and we're getting the service plan function. He's going to do year-round contracts for mowing, so he can get paid during the winter. And what you do is you charge a little bit less each week, but you get paid all year. Now you got to offer a service, some kind of value during the winter, so they don't say, "Well, what's that coming out for?" Do the right thing, but it's going to pay for itself.
It will. Yeah, it definitely will. There's so many businesses that could be turned into like, the Netflix style subscription businesses. And that helps even out revenue throughout the year, especially in seasonal businesses. Because not everyone's like, in appliance repair where appliances are breaking, whether it's raining or snowing outside. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe some break more often or not, but
we have a slow season.
Yeah. But every service business, and can you even that out, because your truck payments don't have seasonality to them. Your mortgage payments don't have seasonality to them, right? Your salaries you pay out don't have real seasonality to them unless you're hiring seasonal workers, I guess. Well, this has been super awesome, EJ. We're like way over time, but is there any one final tip you want to leave with anyone that happens to still be listening, which I'm sure there will be many people still tuned in?
Well, I've given a lot of plugs here. If you'll let me give a plug to finish. If you're in appliance repair, check out the Appliance Alliance group on Facebook, and check out servicealliancegroup.com. The Appliance Alliance group on Facebook is a free Facebook group with over 4,500 members, all in the industry. This ain't no fluff. There ain't no homeowners in there, DIYers. We're sharing tips and tricks of the industry. Sometimes it's jokes, sometimes it's rants, sometimes we're looking for parts and somebody's got one. Find a community that works. If you're in appliance repair, this is the one. Appliance Alliance Group. And if you're in any business and you need some extra resources to help you start, run, or grow, Specifically in the smaller businesses, we specialize with in the Service Alliance group. And of course, Service Alliance is on YouTube as well. We have a podcast every morning called The Morning Grind. And then we have random interviews throughout. Roland was one of the early ones 2 years ago. So check that out. So that's my plug. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
EJ, pleasure having you guys. And for everybody else, stay tuned for the next episode dropping next week. Thanks so much, EJ, and I'll see you all around. Bye now.
The Superpro podcast is brought to you by Housecall Pro, the leading platform for the home service industry. Housecall Pro streamlines your workflows and simplifies everything from scheduling and dispatching to communication and billing. Unlock the full potential of your home service business with Housecall Pro. Work smarter and more efficiently with streamlined workflows and detailed analytics. Win more business and serve your customers well, every single time. Join more than 40,000 home service pros who have already revolutionized their businesses. Work smarter with streamlined workflows, get organized with centralized information, and scale your business your way. Learn more at housecallpro.com.